missed opportunity costs.
At the local level, Ron, do we deal with, can you recall 10 instances in the last 5 years with some number that we've dealt with in the city?
It's been pretty sparse. I've only had maybe a couple contacts.
And John, I'm not taking away from it, I'm just curious about locally, what we got.
And that's, I mean, from what I've.
And oftentimes there isn't. I know that we have had quite a problem with illegal immigrants and pot farms as well as drug farms out in the unincorporated Washougal in the Stevenson, in the Canadian County portion. So I know in the past that also has been an issue.
The only time that I've dealt with it was my folks lived out in Richfield, and there were a lot of berry farmers out there. And all of a sudden, the migrant crews would come in, and I can't tell you whether they were illegal or not, but there was an influx at that time. There were also issues with housing and those types of things that came up, so.
Well, and I think your point's excellent because, back in the 70s, early 70s, we actually had a very vibrant migrant worker program where people would come here and they would work and they would do the things they needed to do and then they would go back home. They weren't a drain on the system. And that has changed because that law that was in the federal government allowing those migrant workers has disappeared. And they repealed it. And so now we're stuck with this huge mess that we're all supposed to pick up the pieces on the cost of this issue. Now I know that this is, some of us are, why are we even dealing with this issue? Why do we want to? I would just ask you, let's just have an up and down vote. And if you don't, if you're not supportive of it, that's fine. But if you are, then vote for it. This is an issue that was brought to us by a citizen. And so, I want to be able to fulfill the wishes of that citizen. And he's not the only citizen that's brought this to my attention as well.
So, I'm curious, Sean made a comment that after last Monday night when this was brought to our attention, that the next morning, somewhere at the end of the Yellow Brick Road in Kansas, there was a city, Nebraska, that said, we're gonna start checking for rental agreements. If somebody's gonna rent in this city, you're going to be a background check and see if you're an illegal immigrant. I guess that what makes me want to talk about it a little bit is I think there's bigger issues to deal with in the city of Washougal than this. No, I don't think there's any argument there, but it's wide open from, do we, if we put something like this, like Nebraska did in place, first of all, someone has to go enforce that, and that becomes a cost to our own citizens. On the other hand, it's a case of we do absolutely nothing to, now we're regulating tenants in a rental.
Yeah. Can I address that? Because I know what you're talking about. That's called, what they passed and what Costa Mesa passed, which is not what we're passing, would be passing, is called the Rule of Law City. Basically, they're instructing their police departments to enforce immigration laws to the best of their ability. All we're doing with this resolution is just asking our state delegation to sponsor a bill for this.
True.
Will it happen? Chances are, probably not, because Seattle dominates the state legislature.
Well, because a citizen brought this to our attention, I think we can give it a little bit of airtime. But that's why I'm asking. I realize this is in the middle of the road somewhere, and it's just a case of sending something to Olympia to say, please do something, or address it. But,
I feel like if we don't speak up, I think that everyone, we're just passive observers.
Does AWC have a stand on this?
Don't know that? No.
Don't know if it's generated more talk among all the member cities or not. Haven't heard
I didn't say it down there this last weekend, but
And, this resolution is milder than the one that Woodland attempted to pass a couple of weeks ago. Theirs was basically let's go take charge and do it. This one is instructing and asking our state delegation to do this.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, the entire topic of immigration, legal immigration, illegal immigration is a fairly easy one to me. It's a much bigger issue than just that statement, though. In this case, though, if your suggestion is to just offer a resolution up and to encourage the legislature and our legislators to enforce the laws or somehow bring more light in passing laws that help to enforce the laws that are on the books now.
And I kind of hope that this resolution will kind of act as maybe something down the road that we, especially as we get into issues that the city in particular is wanting to see happen on the state level, that in the future we'll consider resolutions asking our legislators to introduce X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, that's another avenue, because the legislators, unless they hear from us in a forum like this, it's just one-on-one conversations and nothing is ever official and on the record.
I was curious, why'd you leave out the 15th?
That, well, I said, did I put 18th on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could add 15th to that, no problem, I forgot about the 15th.
Because the
actually.
15th is Yakima.
That's right.
No, 15th is 300 voters in the city limits of Washougal in the 15th.
Let me add something to this. In one of the classes that I attended down there last week, it said how to stay in contact with Olympia. And very specifically, and I know that you're the gentleman that brought this to us last Monday night, they said that one of the things that they very much appreciate, so when they're not in session, is that somebody, I don't care if it was the city or a private homeowner, that would invite these people to their home and then put an invite out to the general public and just sit down and start talking about these issues. And they said that will make a bigger difference in Olympia than if we bombard them or just as a group we make this. It's not that this hurts, but if you really want to get their attention, bring them down, drink a cup of coffee, and have the neighborhood come over and talk to those legislators. And they said they don't know, the ones that were speaking to us, so they don't know of anybody that wouldn't attend if their schedule at all would accomplish that. But that's where they think that the rubber hits the road, is when the neighborhoods and that type of thing call those people down and get them involved in the area. Because, you know, I remember Darrell Alder told me a story one time about Al Henry, and I grew up next to him in White Salmon. And he said that at the time, the paid lobbyists, they're always up there. You kind of get used to them and you don't pay a lot of attention. But a single homeowner in a city that has a problem would write me a letter. I'll take that baby and wave it like a flag out on the floor. And so, you know, you can kind of see where this would do something, but it's probably a whole lot more effective if a private individual would get their attention and bring them down and have people talk to them. Maybe we could attend a meeting like that.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that. That's also very important to have those socials. The resolution aspect, I think if we do pass this on Monday, what this will do is hopefully start a chain reaction. And other cities will feel like, yeah, maybe we should speak up too. And so, you know, again, it's more than just reaching out to the legislators. It's saying, hey, there are people out here that do care about this stuff, and it does affect us on a local level.
Yeah.
It does something else. It sends a message to the federal government. It says, get off your backside, get down to the border, and do something with what you're